I have Keith back with me to discuss a study that shows that drinking this each morning can boost your metabolism by 24%. It costs you nothing and it is super easy, but you have to do it a specific way. We'll talk about it in this video.
So everyone wants water to be the magic cure-all to boost metabolism, right? Mainly because it is free and it's easy. And you can find lots of current research that talks about the benefits of water and metabolism. They typically are focusing on consuming water all day long for hydration, those types of things. However, a lot of those studies come with so many variables. They're talking about dietary recall, or like it's it's a long drawn out process, right? And there's a lot of individual variability. We came across a study from 2003 that had a really interesting twist.
Right. So this one was done by Boschman and his team, and they showed the result of the study was that drinking 500 milliliters of water gave the participants a metabolic boost of 30%. 500 milliliters, that's 2 cups of water.
Right, and 30% is significant.
That is significant. Almost too good to be true type of significant. In fact, Brown, a couple of years after that, came out and said, I think it is maybe a little bit too good to be true. And he conducted his own study, basically debunked the first one, said that, nope, water does not give you any extra energy expenditure. Now, he used some different waters. He used different tools to check their metabolism. So it wasn't apples to apples.
Right, and kind of get the feeling that maybe his intent was to debunk it a little bit. We weren't there, who knows?
Yeah, we can't speak on that.
Yeah.
But Boschman's team came back a year later and said, I think we were pretty well spot on. So they redid their initial study and came up with a very similar result, showing that indeed drinking 2 cups of water gave a metabolic boost of 24% this time. And that was possibly because they were looking at a different subset of the population. They looked at overweight patients in the second one and normal weight participants in the first one.
Right.
Regardless, the takeaway is that to get this metabolic boost, the participants drank the water in a very specific way. Basically, they drank it plain and fast. Or specifically, it was plain tap water, and they consumed it within 5 minutes. So let's talk about why those two things are significant.
Right. So let's talk about the waters and the type of water and the amount of water that they used first. So they used a control of 50 milliliters, which is about 2 ounces. Then they used 500 milliliters of plain tap water, which is what we see here. It's about 2 cups. Then they used 500 milliliters of what's called an isoosmotic solution, which means that it had a similar salinity to our body fluid, the fluid in our cells. So they utilized, they had 16 overweight subjects in this control. They drank the different, solutions, waters at 9 a.m. It was, I believe, room temperature. And they drank that within 5 minutes, so it's fast, but it's not chugging it. You can chug it if you want, I guess. But after that, they spent the next 90 minutes in a metabolic chamber.
Right.
And it was also a randomized crossover trial, which means that each subject was tested with each of the 3 types of water, amounts of water.
Right. And what they found was that only the 500 milliliters of regular water, plain water, gave the result of the 24% increase in metabolic rate. The other 2 water samples did not provide that. So by quickly drinking the plain water, the participants got a metabolic boost. They had more energy expenditure, which means their bodies burned more calories to balance this influx of water out. The results started very quickly. They started within like a 10-minute of after ingesting the water. So why did this work?
So kind of the possible reason they came up with that this worked this way is something called osmolarity. And basically that is just a term that means the number of particles that are dissolved in a certain volume of fluid, whatever that fluid is. So when we say isoosmotic, as in the saline solution, that means that saline solution was the same as the saline, or the solution that's within our cells, has the same amount of salts, the same amount of those types of things. The whole proposed mechanism is that when you kind of flood that environment, that cellular environment, with plain water, that it actually causes this gradient. So the cell has more of this concentrated solution inside of it, and outside of it is less concentrated. So in order to equal that out, the cell has to pull this water in and expand itself to kind of get everything diluted and evened out. And it's that expansion that triggers a lot of those cellular effects.
Right. So that triggered this thermogenesis, which was the thing that required more calories to burn it up. It's basically like, so, and that only worked for the plain water, right? Because when you drink the water that was similar to the internal environment, that isoosmotic saline, well, you didn't get that cell expansion because you're just putting more of the same thing in. But when you flood your body with just plain water, now the cells are more concentrated and water has to rush in there, because that's what osmolarity is all about, keeping that balance, keeping that homeostasis.
Yep.
And that then caused the thermogenic effect that we're after.
Yeah.
It's a interesting theory, and they're calling it a theory. They didn't really prove it through that. But it did work, and then they got the results. So let's go through some rapid fire questions and answers that people might be thinking about if they want to employ this in their morning routine. Okay. First of all, did it have to be cold water?
So it didn't have to be cold water. They, in fact, in Boschman's experiments, they used room temperature water, I believe. In Brown's experiments, he did some things with cold water, and there is, in fact, a small increase in caloric expenditure when you drink cold water. The body has to warm it up a little bit. So it wasn't done in Boschman's experiments. If you want to do it, I think it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Both of us use room temperature water. We just go to the tap. We have filtered water, but we go to the tap and stand at the kitchen sink and drink down 2 glasses of water first thing in the morning.
Yeah, and if you're doing it fast, if you're drinking ice cold water, that might be a little hard to get that down quick.
Like a brain freeze.
Maybe, yeah.
Does it have to be tap water? So
it can be tap water or plain water. The main thing is that it can't be water that has anything in it. No salt, no electrolytes, nothing mixed into it. It just has to be water.
Right, because you are trying to get that imbalance, right? You want to put plain water in your body to get that imbalance started. Now, we talk about electrolytes a lot on my channel. Does that mean electrolytes are not important?
No, electrolytes are still very, very important, especially if you're low carb or keto. Don't take them the first couple hours of the day. Take them throughout the rest of the day. You really want to create that kind of imbalanced fluid environment in there to get this effect.
Right, and in the study, the effect went on for over an hour. So you want to not be taking an extra electrolyte source, taking a supplement if you take it in the morning. Just wait an hour after doing this to get that full benefit.
Right.
Does it have to be first thing in the morning?
I guess it doesn't have to be. The studies did it at 9 a.m. You and I kind of both agree that first thing in the morning seems like the most logical time to do it. You're in a fasted state. You don't have bodily process going on. Nothing's been in your stomach for probably 12 hours or so. I like coming down here in the morning, getting it out of the way.
Yeah, it is getting it out of the way, but then there's also there's kind of a good psychological effect that you get, because you're intentionally doing something for your metabolism right at the start of the day. It kind of starts your day.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's a good way to start, and it's simple.
Yeah. Now, being that it's morning, can you drink coffee afterwards?
You can sip coffee afterwards. You're not adding any solute, any particles.
Yeah.
into that fluid environment, that
Right.
you've just created.
Right. So you're not negating your
Right.
advantage by drinking coffee. All right. So let me wrap this all up so that you are very clear on what we do and what you can do if you would like to give yourself a metabolic boost in the morning. Get up, grab 2 cups of plain water, drink them down within 5 minutes. They can be room temperature or they can be cold. It's up to you. And that is it. Then hold off on using any supplements for the next hour and you're done with the protocol. Super simple. One of these things that just accumulates your progress throughout the day. If it's simple, we do it, right? And if you don't have a way of eating right now that you're comfortable with or you're a little confused about things, keep it simple. One of the simplest things that we have to offer is our 0123 strategy. I like to say it's 4 things that you can do every day that coax your body into losing weight. It's already in use by hundreds of thousands of people. If you just are confused and you just need a starting place, we will put the link below us here on this video so that you can grab that. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. Go grab some water if it's first thing in the morning. And if you enjoyed this, please give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we'll see you in another video. Thanks.
Cheers.